organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, shots were fired outside the U.S. Capitol building Thursday. The latest details are on the way.
And 3 days into the government shutdown has jeopardized aid to women, infant, and children's or WIC programs nationwide. The story on how one Iowa City program is coping coming up.
And in sports, pregame is back.
Homecoming style.
We have all that at the top of the hour because Daily Iowan TV begins right now.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Muriel Kone.
And I'm Reed Chandler, and thank you for tuning in tonight. Shots fired in Washington today, just outside the U.S. Capitol building. It started when a car tried to pass a barricade near the White House around 2:15 p.m.
And police began chasing the vehicle, and the suspect's car crashed near the Capitol. One police officer was injured in the crash.
Daily Iowan TV reporter Brent Griffith spent some time in D.C. with Iowa Senator Tom Harkin recently. And Brent, can you give us a sense of what the scene usually is like?
When I was on there, a lot of the entrances were closed because of sequester, and so there were only a few entrances in the morning, and there were extremely long lines to get through kind of security to get into the building. But in terms of that actual security, it was actually, they had, of course, uniformed kind of officers, but usually it's kind of what you would expect at an airport. They had an X-ray scanner and a metal detector, but there was much more intense security when you actually went into the Capitol versus kind of one of the outlying office buildings, which are actually, a decent distance away from the Capitol, usually around like a 10-minute walk or so. Most members actually usually take the members' shuttle, which goes from the office building to the basement of the U.S. Capitol. So usually you wouldn't normally see a lot of them walking from their office to the Capitol.
Thank you, Brent. And according to the New York Times, the female suspect is dead. Her baby, who was in the vehicle at the time of the chase, is uninjured.
And one government-funded group has found a way around America's budget crisis. The Johnson County WIC program learned today that it would be able to continue funding clients. WIC stands for Women, Infants, and Children. The program provides grocery coupons for pregnant women, postpartum mothers, and children up to the age of 5. They also provide counseling, and initially the U.S. government instructed to stop using coupons starting October 2nd. The USDA, though, stepped in and found enough money to provide counseling and coupons until October 31st, but evidence of a crisis still exists.
Normally, families will get 3 months' worth, so now we're only able to issue 1 month's worth until this gets resolved.
The WIC program serves over 2,700 people per month. If the government doesn't resolve its budget, those people will stop receiving aid.
Still to come on tonight's newscast, we shine a light on one of Iowa City's many coffee shops that's doing something a little differently.
And in sports, we check to see how the stats stack up for the black and gold as anticipation builds heading into this week's homecoming matchup.
And I know I'm excited for the big game this weekend, but what will the weather uphold? I'll have the answer in just a bit, but first, a message from the School of Journalism.
Iowa SJMC.
Want a major that'll take you somewhere?
I joined and now I'm in Los Angeles, California, interning for Conan O'Brien at Warner Brothers Studios.
I joined and now I'm working in public relations for diabetes research.
SJMC. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Kelsey Kniff, and let's just say this weather has been crazy hot. Tomorrow's forecast is going to be about 70 degrees in the morning. As the day goes on, the temp will rise all the way to 86 degrees with a chance of thunderstorms. In the evening, the weather will drop down to 63 degrees. Now for a look at the rest of this week's forecast. Get your rain boots ready for the football game Saturday because the temperature is going to be 63 degrees with thunderstorms throughout the day. Sunday and Monday are looking to be in the mid-60s with partly cloudy skies all day. On Tuesday, the skies will clear up with a high of 74 degrees. And finally, Wednesday will continue with clear skies and a high of 76. That's all I have for weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Kelsey. And today's Spotlight Iowa City features one Iowa City coffee hub.
It certainly does, and we have Rebecca Hager ready to dive right in.
Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Spotlight Iowa City. Now, when it comes to coffee, customers don't just want something that tastes good, but they also want quality ingredients. And our own Stefan Duran took a look at how one local coffee shop strives to bring a little extra to their taste.
Coffee. It has helped fuel people for their daily routines for years, and in Iowa City, this unique beverage is helping to fuel one local business. Mays Cafe is fairly new to Iowa City and is already making strides in making their cafe experience different than many of their local competitors. Since day one, Mays has prided themselves on regionalizing their coffee products.
We're really proud of where our coffee comes from because it is taken care of from the minute it's grown to the minute it gets in the door, and that's because of the roasteries that we get it from.
Kickapoo Coffee is one of the closest organic coffee roasteries to Iowa City, with its location in Viroqua, Wisconsin. The coffee this company produces has set a standard Mays wants to reach with all of their products. The various types of seasonal roast, multiple brewing techniques, and experienced staff helps to ensure customers that their coffee will be made with precision every time.
Really is a community in Iowa City that's focused on celebrating coffee for being coffee and looking into how it can actually taste when you take the time to make it right.
Ricky has lived up to his responsibility by getting the Mays image out to the coffee drinking public, and the staff hopes as their use of exceptional regional ingredients increases, so will the customers' excitement. Stefan Duran, Daily Iowan TV.
The team at Mays not only have various drink selections, but they encourage customers to try their pastry and ice cream options as well.
And let's not forget about the annual homecoming parade tomorrow.
No, we cannot read. The parade will start at 5:45 p.m., so be on the lookout for road closures beginning at 4:30.
Regular traffic patterns should resume around 7:30 or 8 o'clock tomorrow night after the festivities. And Muriel, huge game this weekend for the Hawkeyes.
Absolutely. I'm guessing the Spartans want revenge after what happened last year in East Lansing. Reed, pregame starts right now.
Hello and welcome back to a homecoming edition of Pregame. Alongside Miss Lauren Moss, I'm Josh Bolander.
And homecoming usually means good things for the black and gold. Josh, the program as a whole is 55, 41, and 5 on the university's big day, and head coach Kirk Ferentz has dominated the homecoming contest, sporting an 11-3 record since taking over for Hayden Fry in 1999.
Lauren, the Hawks have actually been even better against Michigan State in homecoming games, too. In 7 previous matchups, the black and gold are 6-0-1.
Let's not sleep on Sparty, though. The matchup between the green and whites, Mark D'Antonio and Kirk Ferentz, may seem to lead toward the 15-year vet. But despite D'Antonio's 2-4 record against Ferentz Hawks, the matchup has been closer than you may think.
Daily Iowan TV Sports' Jordan Cabialis has the preview.
The Hawkeyes enter Saturday's game sporting the 7th best defense in the country, led by 6 seniors who have all stepped it up this season. Outside linebacker Anthony Hitchens leads the defense with 47 tackles on the year. Dominic Alvis has 2 of the 6 sacks, while James Morris, Christian Kirksey, and B.J. Lowry have accounted for 7 of the 11 turnovers forced. The Hawkeye defense has intercepted the opposing team 8 times so far this year and has recovered 3 fumbles, scoring 3 touchdowns in the process. While the Hawkeye defense is good, they welcome in the Michigan State Spartans, whose defense is the best in the nation. The Spartan defense has forced 8 turnovers thus far and is holding opponents to just 59.5 yards on the ground and 130.5 yards in the air. With all of the defense in this game, first-year starter Jake Rudock and the offense are going to have to find ways to score. However, the Spartan defense has yet to face a running back like Iowa's workhorse Mark Weisman. The 6-foot, 236-pound junior is currently the nation's 4th leading rusher with 615 yards through the first 5 games with 3 touchdowns. Damon Bullock has gotten his fair share of carries for 263 yards, and Jake Rudock himself has been effective on his feet, rushing for 146 yards and 5 touchdowns. Through 5 weeks, the receiving corps has also come into its own with a plethora of targets for Rudock to throw to. Gavante Martin-Manley, Jacob Hillier, and Damon Powell have all emerged as viable weapons, combining for 511 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Hawkeyes lead the all-time series against the Spartans 23, 19, and 2 and have won 5 of the last 7. Saturday looks to be a classic Big Ten battle, and if recent history between the two is any indication, an exciting game to watch. Jordan Cabialis, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
And with the history between these two squads, it certainly helps to have one of the nation's best when the game is on the line.
That's right, Lauren. Iowa kicker Mike Meyer not only has one of the best legs in the Big Ten, He has one of the best in program history.
The Dubuque native currently sits third on Iowa's career list for field goals made and points scored, and his 100 consecutive kicks made is the fourth longest streak in the country and sixth best all-time for anyone who is suited up for the black and gold.
Our player insider Chelsea Brown caught up with Iowa's most lethal foot.
Chelsea Brown standing alongside kicker Mike Meyer. And Mike, during the Minnesota game, I know you had that one kick that hit the pole and everything. How are you feeling after that happened?
I think I just learned from it and moved on. I know what I did wrong, so I think it's just getting back to work today and making sure that doesn't happen this week.
All right, and you were a key contributor last year in the 2012 Michigan State game. Are you feeling any pressure going into this week's game at all?
No, not really. I think I'm just, focused on, doing my job this week and definitely practicing as well as I can. But I know every Big Ten game will be close, and every Big Ten game's, a tough game. So I'll be ready if that situation comes.
And Iowa's won their last 4 homecoming games, and you guys are on a 4th straight win right now. How important is this win to you guys this weekend?
It's important, but, every week is important. So I think right now we just need to focus today on doing as well as we can.
All right, well, thank you again, and back to you guys at the desk.
Whether Saturday's contest in Kinnick is close or not, expect both defenses to be firing on all cylinders in this one. Iowa's defensive front seven has already recorded more sacks in 5 games than they did in all of 2012. And the Spartans boast one of the nation's top defensive units.
Yeah, and the numbers back the claim up as well, Josh. State ranks first in the country in total defense, pass defense, and passing efficiency defense, while ranking second in both rushing defense and third down conversion rates.
A word of advice to Gang Green's defensive front seven: don't let Iowa run the ball to the left. The Hawks ran to the left side of the line 22 of the 39 times they lined up to run against Minnesota and piled up 105 yards on 15 attempts to the left alone in the second half.
So where's the love for the big men up front? Ross France starts now.
Thanks, guys, and welcome back to this week's edition of Ross Rants, improving your quality of life one bloviated statement at a time. This week we'll be talking about a position group that's not getting very much love in media reports around the Hawkeye football team, and that's the offensive line. Now, this offensive line, they need to get the recognition they finally deserve. Now, Mark Wiseman and the rest of Iowa's runners, they rushed for 22 times for over 140 yards last week against Minnesota. I'm no mathematician, but I think that equates to around 6 yards per carry. And you know what? That's just a really strong running game. I was going to need anchor left tackle Brandon Scherf to keep Michigan State defensive end Shalik Calhoun at bay. Calhoun already has 2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns on the Michigan State defensive line this year. That's basically their entire offense, more or less. They keep him at bay, let Jake Rudock play his own game, find his open receivers and tight ends, let Mark Wiseman run through the holes that this offensive line is going to make for him. I don't see any way Iowa can lose. Now, people forget that head coach Kirk Ferentz was an offensive line coach before coming and taking the helm in Iowa City. And that game plan is really going to come to fruition, I think, on Saturday. It's going to be a game won or lost in the trenches. And if Iowa has any chance of winning, they're going to need to dominate up front. Thanks, guys, and back to you.
And we're just about out of time on the pregame show tonight. But before we take off, here's the latest look at our producer power rankings.
Not a lot of change in the basement, with Purdue still sitting at number 12, with Minnesota, Indiana, and Illinois rounding out numbers 9 through 11.
Iowa moves up to number 8 after their big win in the Twin Cities. Penn State and Michigan State fill spots 6 and 7, with Nebraska still trying to find their way back to the top 4, sitting at number 5 respectively.
Wisconsin falls to number 4 after climbing as high as number 2 last week, with Michigan and Northwestern still sitting in our 2nd and 3rd spots. And no surprise here, Ohio State still sitting at the top at number 1.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on pregame tonight. Be sure to tune back in this Sunday for full highlights and analysis of everything Hawks and Spartans. But for now, it's on Iowa.
And beat Sparty.
Well, that wraps things up for us tonight.
But make sure to catch our Friday's edition of the Daily Iowan. Read about the launch of the first downtown Iowa City movie theater since 2007.
And why one Iowa State senator resigned from office.
And thanks for tuning in to Daily Iowan TV tonight.
We'll be back at the same time on Sunday, or you can catch us anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Have a great night, everyone, and go Hawks.